Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Please hit that subscribe button. Also, if you like the way that any of the topics are broken down or discussed on the channel, it means a lot if you can hit that like button or share, comment. Let's chop it up. So, Devin Haney. I saw out there on a behind the gloves video that he's kind of went and somebody on his behalf. There's an apology statement that's out there. Not a bad gesture in my opinion, but I have some reactions to it. I'm gonna try to keep this relatively quick. I don't know where this apology was made. I didn't see it on his Instagram account. Maybe it's on Twitter. And that's a blind spot for me as I'm not on there. But he said something like he's had some time to reflect. They showed an image on the Behind the Gloves clip. They showed an image of this statement. Like I said, I don't know where that came from. But he says he's had some time to reflect on it and realizes it's something that he used a term that is derogatory, and it could, it could offend friends, family, and associates who he works alongside of, and he wants people to know the real him. Like he's not a racist. Okay. At the end of the day, man, he's a young kid. We've said this, he's frustrated, so on and so forth. All of the knowns, the obvious knowns. But what you run into here is you need the public, you need fans, you need a public, you need an audience to watch what you're doing to earn money. And when you go out here, I don't know who wrote this statement for him or, whatever, but it wasn't that you used a term. What is the term? White or white boy? I mean, is boy, is that derogative? I think so. I thought whoever crafted this little short apology did a disservice to the matter, and you're still missing the mark here because it's the sentiment in the statement where you're saying white fighters, the white athletes are inferior to me as a black athlete. And no matter how hard they work or how skilled or how gifted, whatever, they could never beat me because of this their skin tone. In a nutshell, that's basically what you said when you run out there with this statement. Now, this statement is so anyway, at the end of the day, you're going to have to deal with the blowback of this because as people who are DAZN subscribers, whether they have the annual pass, whether they pay month to month, any community would have to sit back if somebody says something that addresses their community. You got to process it and make up a decision. Am I pissed off or not? And then you act. And then that person acts accordingly. Maybe some people are mature enough. Like I mentioned yesterday, a Kurt Imhoff, a Chris Mannix, a Max Kellerman. This statement probably doesn't. They probably don't skip a beat with this statement. But the everyday Joe buying tickets and watching your, factors into your numbers, the metrics and whatnot. It's an opportunity for Joe to say, man, screw that kid. Like he hasn't even done enough for me to pay to see somebody kick his ass. Like I'm just done with it. That's what you run the risk of. Secondly, you also get into a situation you can see right here, like now he's in his feelings for a couple of days because now he feels like the public doesn't know the real him. Okay? And that's what a lot of athletes get into. A lot of celebrities, a lot of people in front of the camera, in their respective fields. They want to be known for what they or who they really are. Now, and a situation like this could lead to some conflict in that area, and now he's fighting to get his good standing back, all the goodwill, the good interviews that he's done, how he's been, well spoken and thoughtful and all of this stuff. Now you've just in this simple statement, you've kind of jeopardized all of that. Okay, so now you got to do what you got to do. But again, for me, as Wood, it's not my job to go out here and defend you and to say you weren't wrong and people need to get over it. Hey, that's got to work. That's got to sort itself out. But like I said, when you're talking about the real you, this is most athletes. You don't think Christian McCaffrey feel as a coming out of Stanford and going to Stanford? You don't think Christian McCaffrey was aware? I can't remember that. It was another white running back in the day. I think he had a cup of coffee in the NFL. Peyton something. I can't remember his name. Now his last name started with the H or something. But you don't think they know what the challenge is for them to be a white running back, to go to the combine, to go to the draft, and wonder, I've done great at the high school level, at the collegiate level. You don't think it's some GMs and personnel people in the NFL that are like, I don't care what your combine numbers were. I'm not signing off on that. We're going to go with the best available athlete, period. That's the reality of the situation. White shooting guards, white point guards. Speaking of, Luka Doncic, a few years ago, I had my thoughts and questions, concerns about Luka Doncic. Who could he guard? Can he get hit? Can he turn his 14 or 12 points, whatever it was in the Europe, 7 points, whatever it was? Can that translate to what we're seeing now from Luka Doncic? Porzingis? We didn't know. 2018, when Adam Thielen at one point in time had X number of 100-yard receiving games and was on pace to challenge a record from Calvin Johnson. You don't think week to week opposing cornerbacks was sitting there, black cornerbacks was sitting there like, nah, bro, not against me. He not getting a buck against me, not on my watch. You don't think that was part of the motivation? Now they didn't go on ESPN or they didn't go on the local radio station in their city and say this. They didn't say this, but you don't think in the DB room, you don't think it was said? We just saw Wilder and Fury. Fury went out of his way to say, this has zero to do with color. This is two warriors, two champions, and we're gonna see who the best man is. We saw what happened. An obvious clash of styles right there. A couple of years ago, I'm sitting here looking at when things were trending in the right direction for Sir Marcus Browne. At light heavyweight, I'm wondering, how does his skill set, his athleticism, which boxing isn't even all totally about athleticism. Not totally. But I'm looking at him and his frame, and how does his attributes, his quickness, hand speed, reflexes, so on and so forth, how does that clash against Beterbiev, Gvozdyk, Kovalev, Bivol? Now, on the other side of it, 2 years later, I'm probably like, well, Beterbiev would have killed that brother. Probably he would have mauled the hell out of him. But that was the discussion in looking at that. But again, when young Devin Haney, who's not politically savvy, he's not racially politically savvy or racial politics. But again, this is just kind of it was a moment to learn from him. Like when you put these types of statements out there, you lose control of how people receive it. You just thought you was talking trash. But it's a group of, it's this Kevin out here who I've heard on multiple platforms now that has a real problem with this. But it sounds like that Kevin is willing to pay to see somebody straighten him up. But again, well, I'm not even going to repeat, man. It's just kind of where we were. Again, I don't know who he paid to make this statement, but it wasn't a term, bro. It was the sentiment that you as a young black boxer, all this stuff gets added parenthetically. You a young black boxer with your skill set and you're coming from your beginnings, and white athletes who don't have the best track record in this sport at this moment, and maybe even in prior years and whatnot, in this era, ain't no way one of them can beat me. And when you group people together like that, it's not gonna be 100. In the person who said it's not gonna be 100 in their favor. I think this will blow over, as I mentioned before. This apology, again, it's not going to be received by everybody. But again, Mannix, Rayfield, Iole, Edict, none of these guys probably hold it against you long term. But Kevin, and how important is Kevin in the big scheme of things? I don't know. But again, if you get to the situation, at the crux of this, if Devin Haney is sitting around with this still lingering in his craw, then he probably says something that he regrets, and ultimately that's where it lies. And now, like I said, he's obviously fighting to reclaim the perception. I just saw some interview responses from him, and he spoke wisely on this stuff. I mean, he was putting together responses and thoughts that Mayweather never even could master. So like I said, when you came out and when we met you and you were going down one path, and now just in this little simple statement, you've jeopardized all of that. So I think he can find his way back. This apology isn't going to smooth over everything, but in due time, being that he is a younger guy, he probably has more better moments in front of a mic than he has bad moments. And like he said something on his statement, it's an opportunity to learn and grow. And I think he'll take full advantage of that. And possibly the public, some segments of the public will be understanding, and fences can be mended in due time. So, hey, this is Pay Me No Mind, a little bit of bite down boxing talk. Don't let them count you out. Pay Me No Mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. One.